Let's Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. We're going to do one more little excerpt on about the tongue. James talks about the tongue in his book, and he talks many things. He says, he talks about 14 different kinds of tongues in his in the book of James. He talks about 12 different things that the tongue does, and how the tongue can be a deceiver or an encourager, how the tongue can lie and tell not the truth, and how it can bring forward the things, and how the tongue can cause a man to follow God properly or to be a backslider in his heart by using his tongue the wrong way. The tongue can bring joy, or the tongue can bring sadness. The tongue can show that a man is humble, or the tongue can show that a man is proud. The tongue can show that a man is godly, or that the man is evil. The tongue can show whether you're submitted to God, or whether you're submitted to yourself or mankind. However, what kind of submission you have. The tongue can help you resist evil by saying with your tongue the things that are proper and godly, and not the things that are evil. And the tongue can draw you nigh to God by praying to God and saying, God, I believe that you are the God of heaven. I believe you are the God of lights. I believe you are the creator. I believe that this and that, and draw you near to God. The tongue can help you cleanse your hands by praying to God and saying, God, help me have clean hands. Help my tongue to be clean and my hands to be clean, because my tongue is clean. Have you got a clean tongue? Hey, the tongue can either curse God or bless God. But you know what the Bible said? That bitter water and sweet water do not flow down the same stream, and the water be pure. You can take one glass of water, beautiful glass of water, that you can tip up and drink. You can put one drop of poison in. You know what you did? You poisoned the whole glass. You can't drink any of it. And that's what he says about the tongue. Make sure your tongue has been cleansed. Clean your tongue. Cleanse your tongue. One of the other things he talks about here, unruly. The tongue is an unruly member set on the fires of hell, if you allow it to be. Do you know what's in the heart comes out of the mouth by the tongue? Do you know you'd be better off if you was a mute and couldn't speak at all, if your tongue is going to be set on the fires of hell? And you need to think about that and do something about it. Full of deadly poison. We read that over there in chapter 9 of Psalms, that man take the poison of an asp and speak it through. You know, the tongue is the same thing that blesses God and curses God. And you can, like I say, that's a double-minded man that's unstable in all his ways. James says that. How do you know if a man's double-minded? What comes out of his mouth? You know, I've heard people say before I meet them and I talk with them a while, they tell a dirty joke, they cuss a little bit, and then before the conversation's done, I'd get to ask them, I'd say, hey, sir, man, if you died right now, would you go to heaven? And they, oh yeah, I've asked the Lord to save me and everything, but you know what? I just heard 10 or 15 minutes of a lying tongue, of a deceitful tongue, of a cursing tongue, of a tongue that says, my heart is not pure, but is impure. And then they turn around and tell me they've asked the Lord to save them. There's something wrong with that picture. What's in the heart comes out of the mouth. If you haven't tamed the tongue, if your tongue is still set on the fires of hell, then you have a problem. I tell you what, I say this all the time. I have to carry a whole roll of that airplane tape with me all the time. I have to slap a piece of that over my mouth every time I turn around. Because even myself, with a heart's desire to serve God 100%, if I'm not careful, what will come out of my mouth will be against God and against my man. And the tongue is capable of good conversation, and it is also capable of bad conversation, of cursing, and it will bring you to naught. If you listen, do not let bitterness get in your heart. Bitterness from the past will kill you in the present and the future. Bitterness from the past. Listen to Brother Peter. Bitterness over a divorce. Bitterness over separation. Bitterness over the way your mother or father treated you. Bitterness over a brother or sister. Bitterness over a friend or a neighbor. Bitterness over anything. Any kind of bitterness will put you in the gall of bitterness. And who was it that said, I perceive that you are in the gall of bitterness? And listen, bitterness is a killer. It is a killer. You must turn the page. You have got, I don't care who you are, listen to Brother Peter this morning. You cannot have God and bitterness. You can't have, the two, they do not mix. Bitterness does not mix with God. God has no bitterness. When God forgives you of your sin, He forgives you 100%. Do you know that you can sin yesterday and use John 5:9 and said He is faithful and just to forgive us of that sin and cleanse us from all unrighteousness? You can say, God, forgive me of that sin I did yesterday. Forgive me of that sin I did 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes from now, say, hey, God, you remember that sin I did? And God's going to say, what sin? I forgave you of that sin. There is no bitterness in my heart. I can't keep that sin in my heart. I can't keep the thought of that in my heart. I can't keep the thought of that against you. It is gone. It is wiped away. There is no bitterness there. And you and I must learn that practice. That is a godly practice. Let's have a healthy tongue. Let's have a healthy heart. Let's have a healthy life. Let's work on that. Let's you and I'm Brother Peter, and if you're listening to me, let's you and I work on our tongue. What comes out of our tongue? Let's have a soft tongue. Let's not have a perverse tongue. If you ever met anybody, every single solitary thing comes out of their mouth is perverse. Everything, man, if you say yes, they say no. If you say one, they say zero. If you ever in your life met somebody that's totally perverse, everything you say is opposite. I hate when I come to somebody and I say, man, what a beautiful day, and they say, well, it may rain this afternoon. All they can see is the negative side of everything. They can't see the good side. And you say, that's beautiful. Look at that river. That's beautiful. Look how clear that water is. And they say, yeah, but if it rains, it'll be muddy. I mean, they can see only the opposite side of everything. It's a beautiful day, but yeah, it's going to be night pretty soon. The opposite side. And then there are stammering tongues. There are tongues that stammer. Are you an encourager, or are you a stammering tongue to people? Are you a backsliding tongue? Are you a tongue that says, once I was, but now I'm not? Once I did, but now I don't? Once I believed, but now I don't? Once I followed God, but now I don't? I need to get right, but I won't. I know what's before me, but I continue on this road. Hey, listen, what kind of tongue are you? Are you an encouraging tongue? If a young man falls off his bicycle, or a young girl falls off, do you encourage them? Hey, get back on, you make it. You'll come through one day, you'll be riding down the road, you might be in a bicycle race later on in life.